Oliver and Company is a Walt Disney animated film released in the late 80s following a kitten named Oliver trying to find a way home. One would say he was trying to find some company. Similar to films like Lilo and Stitch and Lady and the Tramp, it's both a tragic and hilarious movie. In this video, I'll be covering a brief summary of the film, information about the film's production, a review / more in-depth summary, and finally my thoughts and opinions on the film, where me and my friend Hyper Aura will discuss our thoughts on it and its characters as well as its legacy within Disney animation. I'll provide timestamps if you'd like to go to a certain point of the video. Now sit back, relax, get a coffee, or continue to work on something, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks. Part 1. Brief summary. The film starts off with a wide shot of New York City. We then zoom in on the streets below. Then, we see Oliver in a little box with a bunch of little kittens. He's trying to get adopted, but he's the very last cat in that box. Unfortunately, it begins to rain, and he has to find some shelter. Some dogs start to growl at him, and he runs away and sleeps underneath the tires of a car. Tragic, I know. Then it becomes morning, he jams out a bit. He then meets a street-smart Billy Joel-voiced dog named Dodger. He knows the streets of New York like the back of his paw. He at first tries to use Oliver to get hot dogs for the two of them, but after Dodger successfully gets the sausages from old Louie, he takes them all for himself. The angry little kitten follows him as he sings an iconic musical number while running away from the cat. Later, it is revealed that he didn't steal the hot dogs for himself, but for this gang of dogs, which Oliver discovers and falls into. They become a family of sorts and help their owner Fagin pay off his debt to his mafia boss, landlord Sykes. Eventually, though, Oliver is taken by a rich kid who lives in the uptown streets of New York City named Jenny. The two spend a lot of time together, but the family's diva dog gets jealous. Eventually, after Jenny leaves the house, Dodger and the gang come back in for Oliver and bring him back to Fagin's place. Oliver is confused, and he tries to explain that he's found a new home, but now his friend Dodger is upset. He wants to leave the gang behind. Eventually, though, Fagin finds out Oliver was taken in by a wealthy family and comes up with the idea of holding him hostage for ransom, blackmailing Jenny by sending her a poorly written note saying he wants money. The poor little girl, who doesn't have her parents' money on hand, goes out at night with the family's dog Georgette to beg Fagin for her cat back. Eventually, Fagin caves and gives Oliver back to her. Because of this, Sykes gets upset and kidnaps Jenny. In order to get his money Fagin owes him, Dodger comes around and helps Oliver save Jenny, along with the rest of the gang's help. They rescue her and Sykes dies in a tragic train accident. Crazy movie, I know. Afterwards, Fagin and his dogs come over to Jenny's house and celebrate her birthday, since her parents couldn't make it. Oliver and Dodger talk, he leaves a spot open for him in the gang, and the movie ends. This movie is ultimately about friendship, community, and finding your family in this big world. With talking animals and a killer soundtrack, this film is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. Part 2. Production. Oliver and Company was Walt Disney Animation's 27th feature film, loosely inspired by Charles Dickinson's novel Oliver Twist. This film was pitched by Pete Young in 1985 at a pitch meeting with Jeffrey Katzenberg, called The Gong Show, a meeting where lots of people in the studio got to pitch their stories. If it was approved, they would hit the gong. Thankfully, the twist on Oliver Twist with furry friends was approved. The film was sent into development, and Pete Young was rumored to be the director of the film, but sadly he passed away later that year due to complications of the flu. The working title of the film was Oliver and the Dodger. George Scribner and Richard Rich were then announced as the directors of the project. Rich was fired from Disney about 6 months into the production, leaving Scribner as the sole director. 6 months? Which is absolutely insane. Massive props to George Scribner for continuing the project even after all of this. This movie took roughly 9 months to develop, and there were several rewrites during production. A few producers and storyboard artists felt unhappy with the direction of the film, who thought it lost some of its contemporary edge. Hearing this feedback, Scribner tried to change the film to be less obvious with its material during the rewrites, and included more sarcasm and more wit and more bite. Scribner also tried to make the film contemporary to the 80s time period. Oliver and Dodger were initially two kitties, then two dogs, changing back and forth in the concept stages until they settled on the dynamic between a young kitten, Oliver, and a young mentor-like dog, Dodger, the rest of the gang being dogs and only Fagin and Sykes remained humans. Oliver and company had many early drafts, one of which involved the panda Sykes would steal from Central Park Zoo, but Oliver would help return to the zoo. The plot was dropped in favor of Fagin holding Oliver for ransom. There was lots of improvisation over the production and voice recording sessions. For example, Tito's romance with Georgette wasn't even in the script but was developed later in production during voice recordings. There is very limited credible information on other things that were cut from the film, and no deleted scenes have surfaced online besides one cut shot of Sykes that didn't appear in the movie. I've also heard the movie attempted to go for more of a dark retelling of Oliver Twist, but many changes ended up on the cutting room floor. Take that with a grain of salt though. Most of the research I've done on this topic relies on information from old interviews, news articles, and this short 18-minute long documentary. I'll link some of the resources below. It's largely believed that the lack of behind-the-scenes content is because of Disney's artists' practice in the 80s of ripping apart and throwing away scrapped storyboards or thumbnails. They briefly mentioned in the documentary, although thankfully some behind-the-scenes sketches and model sheets have been uploaded online, usually on eBay, likely from some people who worked on the film. The cast in this movie was stacked, and even popular music artist Billy Joel came onto the project. Joel was recommended by the music director, but Scribner initially had mixed thoughts, questioning whether he could act. He apparently auditioned over the phone, and they knew he was perfect for the role. Even the animators went and tweaked Dodger's design a bit, giving the street-smart dog some stylish sunglasses in a few scenes. Hell, even Billy Joel wore sunglasses in the recording booth. He did it because it was a Disney movie, saying, "I just had a little girl. It was a great way to do something that my little girl could see that she could relate to in that way." This was the only movie the music star ever played in, and in my opinion, a very iconic one. Dodger's song "Why Should I Worry" is one of the main things people remember from this movie. It took roughly 4 years to make this movie, and it was released in theaters for the first time on November 18th, 1988. Part 3. Review. This movie goes for all the things, man. Drama, comedy, and good-ass music. This film's core theme is found family. Oliver's a great protagonist because we immediately feel bad for him. He's a lonely kitten left to defend for himself in the cold, rainy night. We see most of the film through the lens as a newbie in the city. Dodger later becomes a deuteragonist who helps educate Oliver on the ins and outs of New York City street life. We see Dodger may be a bit sly, cocky, and rude, but ultimately he's a very caring guy who isn't just out for himself like he leads you to believe at first. His song "Why Should I Worry" is the perfect character introduction. We see who he wants you to see, a cool dog who doesn't care what others think. It is later revealed though he didn't just steal the hot dogs for himself but for his gang. Those other dogs being Rita, Tito, Einstein, and Francis, otherwise known as Frankie. Oliver sneaking into the place and falling from a broken roof is such a fun way to introduce Oliver to the other dogs. It shows how hungry the poor kitten was and lonely. He followed this random dog who barely spoke with him across the streets of New York for seemingly hours. Poor little guy. Anyway, I really love that after the run-in with Roscoe and DeSoto, the dogs really warm up to Oliver, Dodger even being the very first to jump in front of Oliver to protect him. Fagin comes back, reading them a story, and the animation details here are amazing, showing how much the dogs care for Fagin, reclining his chair, and even little Tito turning on the lamp. The scene where Fagin reads the dogs a bedtime story, eventually falling asleep, is my favorite scene in the movie because it really shows the emotional core of the movie. When Dodger goes to sleep by himself, in his usual isolated corner, Oliver jumps to cuddle, laying beside him. Dodger smiles, letting his guard down for a moment, and lets him sleep beside him. The music is so perfect as well. The storyline continues at a pretty decent pace afterwards. The dogs are doing a pretty bad job at trying to get Fagin money or valuables to pay off his debt. Another banger song this time sung by Rita, seemingly the only other dog who's somewhat close to Dodger, teaching Oliver the ways to navigate the city. in a little more informative way. After this sequence, the dogs separate to do different jobs. Tito and Oliver go together to stop a car. The poor guy gets electrocuted, and Oliver ends up staying in the car, going home with Jenny. Now, the film's pacing after kind of comes to a sharp halt, but it's sort of worth it for this amazing musical number performed by Bette Midler, voicing the diva dog, Georgette. This amazing scene is during the moment Georgette walks down the stairs, was when the Disney animators incorporated their, at the time, new CGI techniques. The technology was used throughout the film, with the cars throughout New York City streets as well. This was the second Disney animated feature film to use this, the first being The Great Mouse Detective, who used it during the clock tower action sequence near the climax of the movie. After, we cut back to Jenny feeding Oliver some food that definitely is not cat food. Georgette proceeds to intimidate the little guy because Oliver cannot catch a break. Jenny shows up again, completely oblivious to the situation, now being happy that Jenny's parents said over the phone that she can keep Oliver. It's interesting to me, and a bit sad how little the parents care about her. After, the gang of dogs meet with Tito and Dodger to talk about how they should retrieve Oliver. Side note, the extra little line of Dodger saying,
"We never had a chance,"
is heartbreaking. Tito makes note of how big the house is where Oliver was taken in. Rita and him being worried about what the mysterious people may do to him. He's family. He's blood. They all eventually agree to retrieve Oliver and then take care of the old man being Fagin. After this, we cut back to Jenny playing the piano with Oliver. This is such a cute and needed scene, because if we didn't have this cute montage of them having fun together at all, I wouldn't exactly buy Oliver and Jenny's friendship as much as I buy him and Dodger's. The added detail of Jenny getting Oliver his very own collar is awesome and a fun plot point that's set up to come into play later in the film. Very clever plot device. After the montage ends with Jenny and Oliver going to sleep, it's very cute seeing Winston close the door for Jenny as he gets ready for bed, seeing how he cares for her unlike the parents do, and in a way, he's her father figure despite being just the butler, to watch Jenny as her parents go to the conferences and travel to God knows where. After the day ends, we cut back to the gang getting ready to retrieve Oliver outside of the Foxworth house. Don't know why they ended up taking an extra day to come back after the previous scene, but I guess one can assume it was already later in the day in the previous scene. Francis then offers to distract Winston, which I find funny because he pretends to be a dog he ran over earlier in the film. Winston hears from the outside, so he stops watching his wrestling match in order to open the door. Francis gets him to chase him, and the others quickly run inside and lock him out. Tito especially loves the fancy place. They all look around the house for Oliver and eventually end up in Georgette's room, who reacts just as well as you'd expect. Dodger tries talking to her, but hears a loud noise from the outside, and it's Winston literally climbing up a window to get back in the house. This movie has a lot of good fun visual gags, and I like that. Dodger then clarifies she's barking up the wrong tree, and it's not her that he's after. He came back for their cat. The diva dog immediately changes her tune and happily leads them to take Oliver because she wants that cat gone. Girly wants to be the star, the main character. Rita has second thoughts because of how comfy Oliver is in the bed. Georgette quickly rushes them out the door though, but before Tito leaves, he flirts with her and proceeds to get thrown outside after. Ooh, I think she likes me, man. Seriously, not enough people talk about how funny this movie can get. Then they bring back Oliver to Fagin's place, and Oliver immediately is confused and somewhat frightened. He struggles to put into words how he found a new home and doesn't have any ill will towards the gang. Dodger is very sad and upset, telling Oliver if he wants to leave, he can go, since he doesn't like it so much. After yelling, he goes to sit by himself, pushing Oliver away, and the kitten looks back sad with a sense of guilt before Fagin returns. Now seeing the fancy new collar, he reads the address, immediately recognizing it's from uptown. He tries to write a blackmail letter, holding Oliver for ransom, addressed to Mr. Super Rich. Fagin being extremely excited, hoping that this saves him from his debt to Sykes, and he continues to live. We then cut back to Jenny, the poor little girl who reads the note and immediately sets off to save Oliver, bringing Georgette along with her, much to her displeasure. After, we see Fagin bring Dodger to go with him to meet at Sykes' office. He gets ready to tell him of his plan to pay off his debt shortly after Sykes gets off the phone. Dodger looks at him very concerned while following Fagin to the office. The poor guy might have even felt a little guilty for bringing Oliver into this clearly unsafe environment. They're let inside and Fagin immediately aura farms by being on the phone talking to someone, seemingly plotting the murder of someone. Once he's off the phone, Fagin tells him about the sweet, simple plan of holding Oliver for ransom. Sykes is upset that Fagin doesn't have the money, so he snaps his fingers and his dogs attack. Dodger quickly jumps in and defends Fagin, fighting Roscoe and DeSoto by himself. Fagin begs Sykes to make the dogs stop, continuing saying they'll bring the money tonight to retrieve Oliver. Eventually, Sykes is handed Oliver. Reading the address on his collar, he snaps his fingers, commanding the Dobermans to stop, leaving Dodger tired and beaten up laying on the floor. Sykes tells Fagin that there's still a little hope for him left. Eventually, the movie cuts back again to Jenny and Georgette walking alone in the night, trying to follow the poorly drawn map Fagin drew. I like that the artist made sure the map was poorly drawn because the guy wrote the note so fast he couldn't write detailed instructions. Fagin was very desperate and acted fast, fearing for his life, so it's very in character. As Jenny gets closer to the boat, Fagin's place, we cut back to Dodger limping away, walking back to the gang exhausted. Rita asks if he's okay. Dodger simply lies, trying to act cool, saying they never laid a paw on him. He's so goofy. Love that. Shortly after, Jenny approaches Fagin, scaring the living hell out of him, until he sees it's just a little girl, bruh. Jenny tells him she's lost and needs to find her missing cat. She continues asking if he's seen him, and shows that she even brought her piggy bank to get him back. Fagin feels horrible and lies to her, pretending to find Oliver, and tries to hand him back to her. Problem is, Sykes was watching the whole time in the car, smoking a cigar. Sykes drives up, ties up Fagin, and grabs Jenny, kidnapping her. Oliver falls out of the car, and Dodger and the gang run to see if he's okay. Dodger offers to help Oliver, and after the craziest action sequence goes down, Oliver and the gang sneak in to break Jenny out. Fagin, after getting back up, brings a motorcycle, and all of them quickly jump in, driving away from Sykes and the Dobermans. Sykes gets back in his car with the dogs and chases them as they go down the train station. Fagin tries his best to keep driving away while Oliver falls out of the motorcycle. Dodger quickly jumps into Fagin's car to save him. In the process, both Dobermans meet their tragic demise on the train tracks. This movie's got a kill count like, oh my god. Eventually, Tito takes over the wheel somehow, as Fagin makes sure Jenny stays with them. And as they continue driving away, they make a jump and Sykes dies, getting completely taken out by the train that came out of nowhere. Literally, how did these guys survive? Sykes is a generational hater. The dude literally chased a man down for not paying him rent, and that was the death of him. Bro's insane hatred was his downfall. This sequence going down as one of the most infamous Disney deaths, and wow, what an insane third act. After we cut back a day later, Fagin and his dogs take Jenny home safely and sing happy birthday. Tito breaks up with Georgette, running away from her after offering to give him a bath. And after, the last conversation in the film is between Oliver and Dodger. Very fitting because in a way their friendship was the driving force of the film. If Oliver never came into the picture, Fagin would probably be dead. Dodger offers Oliver to be his second in command, his vice president, his best friend, and it's very sweet seeing the guy who's very closed off come around to caring for the little guy, like an older brother or a father figure would. The movie officially ends with a reprise of Why Should I Worry, which is super cute. We then cut back to the New York City skyline, just as we saw at the very beginning of the film, bookending the story in the most perfect way possible. Part 4. Thoughts and Opinions. Before I give more of my thoughts on the movie, I think it's important to showcase how others feel about this movie, so here's one of my friends to share his opinions. So take it away, Hyper.
Alrighty then, so I've seen Oliver and Company for a couple of times on Disney Plus and other streaming service, and after watching a movie a couple of times in bunch, what do I think about the movie so far? Well, it debates if I like the movie or don't like the movie, but for me, personally, I think I love it. And I still love everything about the movie. The characters, the animation, the music is also great, especially What Should I Worry? And of course Streets of Gold, because of course I freaking love Streets of Gold. It's one of my favorite musics of all time. Every moment, bam, 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 bam. But yeah, overall, it's a fun time to watch. Though there are some few problems though, like the plot and its runtime, and we don't even get to see much screen time with the characters also. But that don't stop them with merchandising, am I right? The only nitpick I only have for this film is that there isn't enough interaction with both Oliver and Dodger. Which is a shame though, because they honestly feel like a good brother duo together. And the McDonald's ornaments commercial, but yeah, I kinda wish they had more interaction together. I mean, have you seen the McDonald's ornaments of both Oliver and Dodger though? Like, overall, the movie may have some few problems with its plot and the real world products, but it's still an enjoyable movie for everyone. And I got one last thing to say before I go. Oliver and Company is better than Frozen. Yeah, that's right. I said it. It's better than Frozen. Frozen is mid though. Frozen is mid. Have you listened to the songs? It's mid! It's freaking mid! Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm still working on a new video, so be patient. Yeah. Okay, bye.
This movie is definitely my favorite Disney movie from the 80s, and third favorite overall behind the first and second Zootopia. Oliver and Company paved the way for Disney's renaissance. It really was the first biggest box office success they had in a while, competing with The Land Before Time after all. I remember watching it a few times as a kid, and now years later, rewatching it and falling in love with this movie all over again, with newfound appreciation for it. Here's a quick rundown of all the things I love about the movie. The art direction, the fun character designs, the humor, the darker tone, the high stakes, the emotionally touching character moments, the phenomenal score and soundtrack. There's so much to love about this movie, and man, I wish it was more popular. I especially love Oliver and Dodger's friendship, and I feel like we should have seen more of the two of them together before Jenny adopted Oliver. Or at least, more backstory for Dodger, because there's clearly more to him. There's gotta be a more complex reason as to why he lashed out at Oliver. Bro's got abandonment issues. In conclusion, Oliver and Company is such a criminally underrated film, and it deserves so much more love and appreciation from the Disney community, and in general, animation fans. I hope that this video helped educate you on why Oliver and Company deserves your attention and why it deserves to be within the Disney Renaissance period. And yeah, thanks for watching this video essay. Please tell me how I did in the comment section, because this is really my first big one. And yeah, catch you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Also, hey, if you watched this long, here's some of the merchandise I own from this movie. I have the Disney 100 Oliver and Dodger plushies. I have a few pins as well, including my favorite, the Dodger Dapper Dan pin, and even some rough animation drawings from the film itself I picked up at Lightbox Expo. Yeah, I really like this movie, and yeah, okay, bye. Go watch this, and go watch Zootopia 2.